as far as injuries are concerned, we'll rule Rob Havenstein out. BY will be listed as questionable, but our full expectation is that he's playing. We're just kind of being smart with him just based on working through how his knee's feeling. And so for that, we're excited and got to finish up the day the right way.
Will BY practice today?
We'll be limited with him, but there's so few reps, and so kind of take a cautious approach. So he'll take a couple reps, but limited will be what it's officially at. We've just kind of erred on the side of caution. We've been able to get a lot of mental reps this week, which he's been able to partake in and some of that stuff. So he's going to be ready to go, and expecting him to feel good.
What kind of progress has Rob made to be able to open his practice window this week?
He's made great progress, and in a lot of instances, it's really to be able to say, all right, let's get out on the field with your guys in a limited capacity. Didn't ever have any expectations of him playing this week, but his presence, in the meeting room, on the grass, but then being able to put some cleats on and go through individual and do some of those things. I just can't say enough about the way that he's impacted the team, even while he's not able to play, the mentorship that he provides for the group, the wisdom that he has, and Ryan Wendell does such a great job of being able to give him that platform that he's earned to pour into these guys. And I think in a lot of instances, coming from your teammates or peers is so valuable, and he's got so much wisdom like a coach that he's been awesome. But that was kind of the thought process this week.
Yesterday, Pregame mentioned the thing he learned the most from you as a man was your ability to communicate and emotional regulation.
Oh, boy. That's what he said, huh? He doesn't know me that well then, does he?
On the flip side, what have you learned?
Why do you think that's so funny, Greg? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
On the flip side, what have you learned from your guys about yourself this season?
Man, that's a great question. I've learned that I'm at my best when, you're around people that you love enough to not want to let them down. And I think that when you're around people that make you want to take action, even, if you have your fears or your insecurities, the love is what outweighs that. And, I've learned that when you're around people that inspire you, you become the company you keep. And this group of players, this group of coaches, and we've had some really special groups, but top to bottom, it's hard to top, how I feel about this team, the experience. I was just talking the other day with some of our coaches about, I can't believe how fast this season has gone by. And it's not because it's been easy. It's been hard. There's been challenging moments, but when you're totally present, you're enjoying that. I think that's when you're at your best and you're creating meaningful relationships and memories. And so what I've learned from this team is that we're at our best when we're working the right way. We have genuine enjoyment for each other, for the success, for the challenging moments, and we have the mental toughness and the mindset to be our best regardless of the circumstances. And that's not exclusive to football. That's just in life, and and being consistent and doing that for the people that you love and care about. And that's what I would say I've learned.
Sean, you've talked.
What's been kind of your sense of your team?
I really like the sense. I think business as usual. They understand the stakes. I think consistency is really important in these moments, Lindsay, and you don't need to over communicate, what is at stake. But what I want our guys to be able to, be courageous in terms of our ability to go cut it loose. No regrets. We know what a formidable opponent. Very familiar with them. We have tremendous respect for them. But our expectations are to go in there and play really well, play complete, be present. And I love the vibe that I've gotten from this team. Don't get the sense it's not going to be too big for this group, and I'm excited for 3:30 on Sunday.
I don't know this about you for 9 years, but like the night before the game, do you write down some thoughts that you share with your team that are, contingent on like what situation you're in, or how do you address your team?
It's fluid and flexible. I keep consistent message. I think the consistency. I don't think you want to have like so many different things. It's like, okay, what are we really emphasizing? Because I think you emphasize everything, you emphasize nothing. There's been certain different themes or, things that you just go with just based on your feel. But I think the thing that always resonates is what's from the heart, and what type of approach do you want to really be able to take. But I think the guys would be better equipped to answer that than me. But I'm not necessarily like writing things down. It's consistency of messaging throughout the course of the week. Maybe just, highlighting why I feel so good about, this group. And then you might highlight a couple things that are specific to each phase. But, normally it's just kind of flexible by, don't know what I'll say on, I'll talk to him on Sunday because of when we kick off. I try not to get too jacked up so that, when we've got about 3 hours until kickoff or, 5 hours whenever I talk to him, it's always a good challenge. I tell him, I say, I'll try not to do it, but I can't promise you it won't happen.
You talked several times throughout the year about this being a special group.
Yeah.
You were saying there just now. Can you put your finger on what it is?
Yeah, I think what's been great is the collective character of this group, collective values, the alignment that we have. There's different personalities, but these are guys that are accountable. It's not perfect. I'm not perfect, but these guys, they believe in the same things, and they feel that there's a mutual respect, there's a love. They like the challenging moments. I think, a lot of these guys that we onboard now, there's a real lean into understanding after now 9 years, what do successful outcomes projection-wise look like in terms of the makeup of the human being, or, we do some stuff with what we call a North Star. And so I think we have a really good idea of what kinds of people, best elevate this space that we operate in, and whether that's their teammates or situations they're a part of. And that might be through free agency, that might be through the draft, that might be through guys that we, continue to develop and stay in-house. But I think, I love working alongside Les and his group and our coaching staff, but I think we're getting better about understanding the types of people that thrive in this atmosphere and environment. And then, selfishly, that inspire me. It is so much easier to work with a team when your motivation is, I don't want to let them down. We all are innately selfish, right? We all have things like that's being a human being. But when you're working with people that you're saying, I don't want to let you down because I love you and I want to see the light shined on you, I think that takes the pressure off you. That's how I felt when we've been at our best. I think that's how I felt in the moments when we made a 21 run. That's how I felt with this team each of the last 3 years in 23, 24. And especially feel that right now, and I think that does take the weight off, and I think that's why the top to bottom, just collective is as special as I've been around, and I think it's all about people, always has been, always will be.
You've played two very close games with them. How would you evaluate how your special teams are playing and how their special teams?
Their special teams is real. I mean, they're outstanding, and they're outstanding in every phase. They are a complete football team, Gary. But you could see there's an energy, especially. I mean, you look at the last game. Shahid's punt return is really what gave them the momentum to get back. And you look at last week that blew the game open, where his kickoff return, starts the game. So I thought we did a good job, in some instances last week. I thought that was a really, I think Chicago did a damn good job too. But thought Mevis was excellent. I thought we punted way too many damn times, but I thought we did handle that, fairly well. I think our coverage units have done a nice job covering with urgency, and our guys are ready to lean into the challenge. But it's a real challenge, and they're as good as it gets collectively on teams.
Sean, you mentioned the people that you surround yourself with. I asked Mike LaFleur about that yesterday, and he said it's how you put together the staff. When you are either recruiting for or interviewing for an open position, what's your mindset going into that, and what's it like to interview with you?
Well, I think the first thing is what's the fit, I mean, and we've gotten a lot of reps at this too now. I mean, so I think, it starts with character. There's too many ebbs and flows. You better be a high character individual, and I don't really care what kind of coach you are, but I think you're not a good coach if you don't have high character. And then you better have capacity for the game, and you better be a great communicator where you can connect with your coaches and with your teammates and with your players, most importantly, because our job is to help elevate people we're around in situations that we're a part of. But I also think it's really important as you put together a staff, you're putting together a team. What are the complementary pieces that, some of these guys can add to Chris Schuler, to Aubrey Pleasant? How does it fit offensively when you lose, a Nick Cayley and then you bring in a Scooter Huff? So all of that matters so much, but it always is about people. And then, the interview process, that depends on what position that you're talking about. But I like to, you like to try to be able to simulate and mimic and emulate things that you would ask people to do, have them, the ability to think on their feet. But more than anything, man, what I like about the turning over the staff is usually what that means is guys are getting better opportunities we can't, offer here. So that's a great thing for them, and they've been instrumental in good stuff. And then when you bring in other people, I'm always curious. I get to learn. I get to see the way that we're looked at, and you better evolve. And there's been a lot of examples of where we we haven't done that, or I haven't done that, and it's cost us. And then because of a lot of the influx of new people coming in and new ideas, I think you got to constantly stay curious and always innovate. But we'd be here for a while if I told you about the different interviews.
Along with Puka yesterday.
Your offense versus Mike's defense, but what is something we're not talking about that can be the X factor in this game?
Oh, man. This is about our players, and this is about us trying to be able to make good decisions, and I think it's about the competitive stamina, snap in and snap out. This is two great teams going at it. They're obviously excellent, but, I want to see – I think the most important thing is let's be totally present. Let's be in the moment, and let's consistently stay the course. And like I've said a couple times in this press conference, just have the courage to be able to go do it. But I could get real granular on the tactical stuff, but it's about us, finding a way to capitalize and play as good as we possibly can in that 3.5-hour window. If things go our way, let's stay humble, and when things don't, let's do the next right thing on the next snap.
Sean Jarrett said.
Your game against the Bears, and you were kind of hypercritical on the game you called. When you're in a game live,
Yep.
how can you tell, obviously, that the play doesn't go the way you want? How easy is it to tell that you're not doing the job that
Sure.
you want? And who do you lean on in those moments, and how hard is it to change? Or is it something you kind of like are so zoned in, and then when you rewatch the game, you realize, oh, I could have done this differently?
Yeah, I think you got to see the game one play at a time. What I meant by that is in a lot of instances you might have the right thought, and it might be a good play, but if we're not able to execute based on the communication that's required, we had some stuff that ended up in negative plays where, I got to ask myself, okay, yeah, the thought process is right, but then you got 11 moving parts on your side of the football, 11 on the other side. There's a play clock, there's a noisy crowd, and even though it might be a good idea and it draws up well, are we able to get it communicated to execute? And there were some instances that didn't go down. Then there's other ones like situationally, like it's not necessarily the actual call. The one that I would refer to that definitely was not a good call was the 3rd and 1 in the overtime period. Dennis Allen did a good job of changing up his short yardage structure right there where we're trying to run kind of a perimeter play that you don't have good angles and leverage. That's a bad play call based on the defensive structure that they presented. You give, Coach Allen credit for that. But I think you have to feel the flow of the game. What I did think was good is, and it's always collaborative, it's collective as a staff. Thought we did a good job of adjusting and adapting, where you have some stuff early on, we weren't able to get into a rhythm, but then I thought we settled in, we ran the football well, thought Matthew was at his best, and guys made their plays in the most important moments. So that's kind of what I was referring to. But all those things, I think the good ones adjust in real time, and I wish I would have done that a little bit sooner, but better late than never. And, you can't afford to do those things against an outfit like this week, but there's so many layers that go into it. But as it relates to like truly a bad play call, it's if you give the players a play and you don't have it called with another play or answers that give them a chance for successful outcomes. And there's sometimes where, I call a bad play and they make it right. That's happened a lot too. And you have to be honest with that. It can't just be outcome oriented.
Sean,
Jarrett said
with
yesterday.
Mike Tomlin stepping away, John Harbaugh moving, Sean McDermott no longer.
Yeah.
In Buffalo, you're tied for the second longest tenured.
It's wild, huh?
How do you're going to be 40 tomorrow, right? So how do you process, that kind of seniority from where you started?
Well, I mean, seniority, I'm not a senior yet, Gary. I think what you realize is how hard this league is, how volatile it is. I think perspective is everything. And fortunately, I did have a decent perspective growing up in this game, realizing how difficult it is, but you love it, and you know that it doesn't always come with great things. And I think you have to be able to treat everything as its own entity. My grandfather was the head coach of the Giants, and, he's a head coach during the Miracle of the Meadowlands, and you're looking at, hey, this is a challenging deal. He ends up, leaving that job, and it led to him being an executive where he gets 5, he's a part of 5 world championships with the 49ers. And so what you realize is what a blessing it is to be in these positions, and especially to do it for Mr. Kroenke and to lead alongside people that you believe in, and that have, and that you've had some good experiences. And what I think about the most, Gary, is the appreciation I have for when I haven't been at my best, but the support and the unconditional support that I felt. That means a whole hell of a lot to me in those moments that have been open with you guys. guys about where I wasn't the leader, I wasn't the man, I wasn't the coach that I wanted to be on a consistent basis. And I'm not by any stretch saying that I got it all figured out, but I'm better than what I once was. And it's only because I'm around people and I have a family and friends and people in this building that make you feel like you want to do better. And so it is hard. I mean, this league is challenging, but it's always a blessing, and I don't take it for granted. And being in year 9, it's crazy the turnover that occurs. Me and Kyle that year, and then obviously, Big Red in Kansas City, Coach Reed's still doing his thing. So it's amazing.
Matthew, you talked a little bit about Ernest on Wednesday. What's it been like these last couple of years going up against a linebacker, middle of that defense, who you've practiced against, has so much familiarity with your offense?
Yeah, I mean, he's an unbelievable player, great leader, great human being. Really enjoyed my time. Obviously, have a ton of fond memories of playing and going to battle with him. He's been the heart and soul of that defense when you watch him. Just the way he communicates, the way he runs. He's had a great year turning the ball over this year, both, finding ways to intercept it and also, punching the ball out or getting on it when it's on the ground. So he's a great player. Obviously, a huge challenge when we go up and play against him, but really great human being too.
Does that add to just like the chess match of it, just his familiarity with you guys?
Yeah, I think so. But I think when you get out there, everybody's just trying to do their job as best they can. I know that's all I'm trying to do, and I know him well enough to know that, that's all he's trying to do. He's trying to go out there and lead his group. I'm trying to go out there and lead my group. We're two pieces in 22 moving parts, and so I obviously have a ton of respect for him and the way he plays the game, the way he leads his team. So that's part of it. But once the ball's snapped, we go play.
Matthew, Davante, of course, much experience and knowledge as he's brought to you guys. Also says he thinks like the Super Bowl is like this mythical thing out there. Have you guys had any conversations about that, or what it's like playing the Super Bowl?
No, we haven't. We've kind of just stayed present this week. Obviously, going to play a great opponent, they've got our full attention. Going to their place and trying to get a win and continue playing. I think that's the biggest thing for me is I love going to work with this group. The inevitability in the NFL is that year to year there is change, there's turnover both in the player roster, but also coaching staffs and all those things. And so, being able to stay present and appreciate the time that we have and appreciate, Friday practices and really everything, all the moments. That's what we've been trying to do. Will those conversations happen? Maybe, but haven't yet.
Matthew, when we talk about the relationship between quarterback and head coach and the one you've been able to establish with Coach McVay, how would you say it has evolved over the years? And then obviously in a moment like this in the playoffs where you've had success together in the past, how much of an edge, if any, does it give you?
Yeah, I mean, that's yet to be seen. I think as far as an edge goes, he's calling it. He's leading our team. He's helping us get prepared, and I'm going out there and trying to do my job. As far as experience goes, yeah, I mean, you can't fake experience. We've had the ability to go and play in playoff games, win them, lose them, go to the Super Bowl, those things together. As far as our relationship, how it's grown, I feel like any friendship where you spend as many hours as we do together, right? He's, when I first got here in 2021, he was learning me, I was learning him, and how do we, do that as fast as we possibly can to try to, reach the goal that we want to do, and we were able to do that. And then, man, there was some times where we learned about each other a lot, in the next 3-4 years. And it's been really cool. It's been fun to watch, him become, a father of 2. And I know he loves, I was FaceTiming my girls in the meeting room this morning, and he's asking Tyler for, tooth is still loose. So, there's plenty of back and forth, and it's a really cool, unique relationship, one that I don't take for granted and one that I appreciate a lot.
Jared was saying yesterday that practice has felt a little bit more mindful this week. People calling stuff out that they might not have previously. Is that something that you felt, on the offensive side?
Yeah, I mean, I think we try to be as detailed as we possibly can, every single week. Obviously, it's a big game, big opponent. The stakes, I guess are quote-unquote higher than a regular season game. But, no, I mean, I try to make sure that, everything we're doing is with, intent and done the right way. And I think Sean does that as well. So it's not a bad thing in my mind. That's a good thing, right? Like, let's make sure we're all just doing everything we possibly can to prepare to go play well. Trust that preparation too, right? Like, just go prepare the way you always prepare. Trust that, hey, we're in this game for a reason, right? Because we've prepared the way we prepared. We played the way we played. Just go trust that and let the results happen.
Sean's been pretty open about how, as he's spent more time in his head coaching role, he's begun to delegate a little bit more
Yeah.
Since the time you've been with him, how have you seen that evolve?
Yeah, I would agree with him. I think that's healthy. I think that's great leadership on his part, and trust in the people around him. I mean, he is still heavily involved in everything that we do in all phases. But the delivery of that message might come from other people rather than him all the time. And I think that's why everybody comes here to try to find coaches to go somewhere else and be a head coach or be a coordinator or whatever. It's like, they have true responsibility here, and Sean allows those guys to develop and grow as coaches. And I know as players, it's empowering too, right? Your position coaches are giving you things that may be coming from the head coach or may not be, but just his ability to spread that knowledge and empower coaches and players is something that makes this place special.
You played 12 seasons before you got your opportunity to get past into an NFC Championship game and get to the Super Bowl. Davante's been on the verge, a number of times.
Mm-hmm.
What's that like for a veteran player or someone like you? What was that like to finally be able to get that opportunity and get over the hump?
Yeah, I mean, probably a little bit different. He got a lot closer than I did for a long time. It wasn't quite that little carrot out there. But no, he's an unbelievable player in this league. He's made his impact on a multitude of players and teams and organizations, the history of our game, frankly. I can't speak for him on, hey, to get that close, what was it, 4 times, I believe, and not get the opportunity to go play in that game. I don't have that same experience, but I do know that as you get older in this game and longer, in the tooth a little bit, just you appreciate these moments, right? There's so many times where you finish up a season, in the regular season, and you go home and you watch all these games, and being able to prepare for them, be a part of them, be in the locker room, go eat meals together, do all that kind of stuff. Hey, there's only 4 teams playing still. That's a special feeling, and just to be able to be a part of that, I know is great. And then I play this game obviously to have success and to help our team win and do that, but I want all the guys in that locker room to have the experiences that I've had before and was lucky enough to have in 2021. So I play this game for my family and for the people that have helped me get here and all of our teammates, but the guys in that locker room that, want that opportunity, I want that for them so bad. And so that's why I prepare. That's what I'm going to do everything I possibly can to try and bring that to life for those guys, with a big challenge ahead of us, no question about it. But that's the special part about football, such a great team sport, and just trying to do my part to bring that to life for those guys.
Cooper Kupp said that something about the playoffs he notices the same once the ball snapped. It's like the pregame atmosphere feels different. Is that something that you've experienced or noticed?
Yeah, I think so. A little bit of buzz in the air. Just knowing that you either win the game and keep playing, or you lose the game and go home. I think people get excited about it. People on the sidelines and all that kind of stuff, but he's right in the fact that once the ball snapped, it's football, and you just got to go play. So, been lucky enough to play in another NFC Championship game, played in the Super Bowl, and the atmosphere before the game, the sidelines, all that kind of stuff definitely gets ramped up as you keep going, but doesn't have too much effect on the game.
Why are you smiling so much when you stand up here thinking of pregame?
No, I was it The Rock at our Super Bowl was doing stuff? I'm just sitting there going you're not getting that on a random, Sunday day game in the middle of the season. So that just came to my head. Sorry.
Matthew, at that point in the preparation, talking about the noise and all that you visualize the hostile environment, how has that changed over your career?
Yeah, I think just through experience, being able to play in these games, whether it be this late in the season or really just at all the venues, really, and how the noise affects you and how do you have to go out there and operate. I think that's why, these walkthroughs, these practices are so important so that everybody's on the same page. And I call that play in the huddle. We're all ready to rock and roll and go play no matter if we can hear ourselves think or not.
The last time you guys went to Seattle, you didn't have Davante to play in that game. So just what is either the comfort level or advantage you have knowing going into a loud stadium like that to have a guy who's played in these games and as many games?
Yeah, just a great player. Anytime you can add a great player and put him out there on the grass, it's going to be a huge, boost for your team. We know what he's done for us all season, able to put the ball in the end zone, convert on third down, make big plays in the pass game. So having another guy out there that can do that is a huge plus for us. So excited to have him back, excited for him to be healthy and feeling good going into this game with the opportunity to go make some plays.
With both teams so evenly matched, number one offense, number one defense, how do you create separation in the game and make the difference?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you just got to go out there and execute. I mean, that's the biggest part of this is, we can talk about all the other stuff, but, we got to be hitting blocks correctly. We got to, read our run keys and run the ball effectively. I got to put the ball in a good spot for our guys to go make plays. Got to separate, get open, and make plays. So, I think when you go into a battle like this where you have a defense that's playing at the level that they're playing at, you got to tighten the screws that much more. Go out there and when you have the opportunity to make the plays, try to make them. If they're not there, how do we, not make a bad play worse? All those kind of things. It's just quarterback and one-on-one for me, and just trying to, keep us moving in the right direction.